go. Welcome to Tea Time with Olive. And I'm here with Andrew Johnston, right?
Very pleased
Welcome
to be
to
here.
the show.
Daniel.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, as you can tell, I'm not from around here. I'm a Scot, and I've lived in the Bay Area for over 20 years. And I'm an artist. Never had a real job. That's
not a job.
That's what my wife said. My wife's a teacher. She has a real job.
All right.
Anyway, so I work.
Teaching is a real job.
I paint murals. That's how I earn my daily bread.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also the, if you've ever heard of Burning Man, the Burning Man Festival, I'm the designer of the man for the Burning Man Festival. And I also, which is what we're talking about today, I have a not-for-profit called Big Picture. Mm-hmm. And Big Picture works with kids who've been busted for graffiti activity.
Oh,
and
okay.
as artists, we try and talk to them on a different level and encourage them to redirect and make art without victims.
Right.
So that's it.
So to educate some of the people that are from the other cities or other countries that they don't understand or they don't know much about what's going on, especially in Oakland, in Detroit.
Yep.
I actually, during 2014, I learned a lot about graffiti. Europe, it's really popular, and so is Tokyo and Japan. So graffiti is a form of art to a lot of people that graffiti is okay, good graffiti, right places, but not illegal graffiti. And you're talking about when children or the teenagers, they get busted because they're doing illegal graffiti.
Yeah.
Then you redirect them, right?
Yeah. So I think it's an art style. I think graffiti has a lot to offer. I think it's exciting. It's dynamic. It's of its age, and there's no reason why it should be relegated.
Right.
It holds up as much as Impressionism or Cubism, and in fact, art scholars suggest that it's a form of Dadaism. Dadaism is this anti-art movement, which is great.
Right.
However, it's not what it is; it's where it is. It's the problem.
Right.
It's when it is on somebody else's stuff, then it's a problem.
Okay, so as long as how about if it's on the city property?
If there's permission, or you've stretched out a canvas and it's on your own canvas, or it's on your own wall, your own car, that's all good.
Okay.
It's when it belongs, you put it on somebody else. So
Right.
it becomes, we're going to get into a discussion.
Right,
here.
right.
It becomes a question of rights and permissions. So say I own a big building,
Right,
and it's a downtown, and it's a big grey building,
right,
and somebody down the street says, I don't like your building, it's big and grey,
right.
and comes and paints a mural on it.
But
Well,
now mural is different than graffiti.
if they didn't ask for my permission, they could put the Mona Lisa on there.
Okay.
It doesn't make don't make a difference.
Right.
They're infringing on my rights to have a big grey building.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
So if you have a building down the street and you paint a mural on your building,
Right.
and I go, I don't like that mural, and I go out one night and I paint your mural out,
Oh, I got it.
I've now infringed on your rights.
Got it.
So if
and that's where the issue really is.
If I go into Dick Blick art store, right, or Flags, and I grab one of the canvases off the rack and paint a painting on it,
Right.
it could be, like I say, it could be the Mona Lisa, it could be the next great masterpiece.
Right.
The point is, it's not my canvas until I pay for it and walk out the door.
Oh, got
And they've got every right to take the brush out of my hand and call the cops,
Right.
because it's not, because it ain't my canvas.
Right. Right.
And so
Got
that's
it,
the
got it.
that's
So now
rights
that
and
you
permission.
have a school, you have a school for teenagers that you're actually teaching them the right, and most of them are pretty talented. I remember walking the streets of Oakland, and some of them you would be beautiful. I mean, amazing. And this is mostly done with just the spray.
Yeah.
And going to spray, we just had a little discussion on that. There's a lot of spray that's been used, a lot of paint spray. I know Walmart has a lock on their spray bottles. That not you have to be over a certain age.
Over 18.
Really? Wow. Even so, it's not just the cigarettes; it's the spray bottles as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're saying in a way. I mean, right now it's around election time, and is there a poll that's going to pass that that we're talking about, that's saving some money, or actually bringing
Yeah.
some money to?
Not this round, hopefully the
Okay.
next election.
Okay.
So the paint industry every year produces about 412 million cans of paint, spray paint.
Okay.
That's what it did last year.
Okay.
Now, the spray can was invented 50 years ago by a guy called Ed Seymour. So it's a legacy product. And by legacy product, I mean that we've inherited it from the past. If I invented the spray can today, it would never get through APA. If I tried to get it patented, they go, "Are you kidding me? You can't sell this in a shop." It's pressurized at several times atmospheric pressure. If you puncture it, it goes off like a bomb. If you put it in a trash compactor, it'll explode. If you put it on a fire and try and incinerate it, it's full of pressurized VOCs, volatile organic compounds, things like propane, which is the propellant, and toluene and acetone and all sorts of nasty stuff in there. And it will explode.
Of course.
So this is a pressurized bomb
Right.
of poisonous stuff
Right.
that you try to keep out of the hands of kids. Now, the number that's often...
Let me ask you this question. While they spray, while they paint,
'Cause
do they get high?
Well,
I mean, the fumes are pretty
Yeah.
strong. The fumes are
some
pretty
people
strong.
huff paint,
Ah.
and what they'll do is to spray it into a bag and concentrate the fumes, and they're really inhaling acetone and toluene, and it has a narcotic effect. It also damages your nervous system and makes you impotent. These are two good reasons not to do it.
Right. No,
Don't do
it.
this.
Don't
Don't do
Yeah.
this. And you
Only
find,
for professionals.
and you find that they tend to, they call it chroming, because the paint they tend to do that with is the one that has the most solvent in, and that is usually put into metallic paints.
Right.
So you'll see these guys using metallic paints and huffing that.
I'm just thinking with all this huge amount of spray paint that comes from China or wherever it comes.
Yeah.
How much money do we go up and down probably a year? Because
About $20 billion. About the same amount as
$20 billion industry.
Yeah, Krylon alone is $11 billion, just Krylon.
Wow.
So the number that's often given for the graffiti problem in the United States is about $20 billion. That's how much damage is done. That's eradication, cleanup, property loss, property devaluation, things. So if you take 412 million, which is the number of cans, and divide that by 20 billion, you end up with how much damage per can. And that comes out to about $50. Every can of paint that's produced, on average, is responsible for $50 worth of damage.
So every can damage is literally worth of $50.
$50.
Whatever, however.
So we want to put $1, when you buy a can of paint at the till, we'd like to put $1 surcharge on that can, which is only 2% of the damage.
It's only fair, honestly. I mean, look at the amount of money. 20 million?
Yeah, 20 billion.
$20 billion.
Billion with a B.
And $1 out of each can would go towards...
Yeah. So putting art into essentially middle schools, that's the place for it, because the middle school art has been defunded. Eradication programs, redirection programs like Big Picture, and also a media campaign, so that we start educating kids on why they're cutting their own throats by doing this behaviour. Right? If you do this, you think that there's no victim, but here's all the people that are victimised by your actions.
Right.
And that is ultimately then their community.
Right. And again, like I said it earlier, when it comes to graffiti, it's just one of those coolest things for kids out there. I mean, the trains. I mean, they put their initial or their logo on the train, and they want to see if their buddies could see it in Oregon or. Yeah,
it's called getting up.
Getting up.
Yeah.
Getting up. So I mean, it's the next hip thing for them. But if there is a way, what would that be?
So let's talk about the motives behind that. So I'm going to take you far back. So there was a shell discovered in the Philippines about a decade ago. And this shell, when you look at it under a powerful magnifier has got a pattern scratched into it. It's like a zigzag.
Okay.
It's where it was found in the record. It's 500,000 years old. And that pattern was made by somebody, a creature, not even us. We're descendants of it. It was a Homo habilis.
Okay.
We're Homo sapiens.
Right.
We probably wouldn't even be able to breed with this creature.
Okay.
But that DNA, that is still within us all. And if we were an anthropologist looking at mankind, we'd describe ourselves as the primate that uses tools and makes art. It's something that only human beings do, make art. So that DNA is as powerful in you and me as a bird flying south for the winter. It's part of who we are.
Interesting.
And we have denied it through our education system by defunding it, especially at critical times during development.
Right.
And what I mean by critical times is essentially puberty.
Right.
The kids that we work with are typically between 12 years old and 18 years old. What's going on between 12 and 18? It's puberty.
Right.
Their bodies are changing, their minds are changing. They look in the mirror, that kid that they know has disappeared. Their voice is changing, they're getting spots, they don't know how they feel about sex, they don't know about whether they like boys or girls, they're growing hair where monkeys don't, they're probably having problems with their parents, trying to fit into the group, they're having an identity crisis. They're changing, they're metamorphosing, they're coming from a caterpillar into a butterfly,
That's
and
absolutely
they don't know who they are.
Exactly.
So what do? They try and express their self-identity by writing their name again and again and again and again and again.
That makes sense. So they just go and spray spray.
So if you look at graffiti as a whole and look at a pie chart, about 5% of the graffiti is street art. Beautiful, muralistic,
very rare,
artistic, remarkable. About 3% of it is gang-related or territorial marking. That's, we don't even interfere with that because it's too weird and scary, right? It's Serenos and Norteños or Crips or Bloods. This is my street, this is your, don't do that, right? It's all that going on. It's like jungle.
It creates a lot of gangs.
Yeah.
So there's.
It's like Jungle Telegraph. They're announcing to each other's tribe what's going on here, right? And about 92% of the graffiti that's out there, more than most, is tagging. And the tagging is not street art, and it's not gang. It's I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. It's just writing your name again and again
as
and again.
As they cross the street, as they go here, and it was it's just interesting for me because when I go even to I was in Portland. I was in Portland, like I should say last year. The same tags that we were following here in Oakland, the same tags we saw them in Portland. Actually, I saw them a lot of them in Portland, and I was pretty amazed that how they travel. But later I found out that their group is really big. Yeah, it's international actually. They even have it in Germany. They have it in Paris. They have it in different parts of the world. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting.
So in Europe they go on these things called spraycations, right? Spraycation.
Spraycation.
They get a Eurorail pass. That means they're already on the train. Right. They're going up and down all over Europe. And they kind of hide down behind the seats until the train goes to sleep at night in one of the yards. Right. So they're already there. Right. And then they go crazy. And they're causing hundreds of millions of dollars of damage. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course. So now let me ask you about that was the work that you do here. Yeah. We're gonna go back to this because we want to know how could the community help you with this project. But tell our audience a little bit about the Burning Man, because that's what I've been telling my friends. And I'm like, you won't believe who's going to be on my show.
Well, it's very difficult to describe what Burning Man is until you've ever been. Right. It's like trying to describe a colour to somebody who only sees in black and white. Right. But it's a festival. It's a festival of radical self-expression. Okay. Right. Which means if you want to paint your butt blue, there's somebody to probably help you, and there's probably a bunch of people with blue butts. It reaches that part of everybody, that creative spirit, and that playfulness,
Right.
and it allows it a room to grow
Okay.
for a week.
Okay.
And
Oh, it's a week long.
it's a week long.
Okay. Is the children allowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my 15-year-old,
Okay.
this was her 15th Burning
Great.
Man.
Okay.
So
15%.
she's grown up there.
Right.
And she's a very fine artist in her own right
Oh,
now.
great.
Very
Awesome.
fine
I think
artist.
I've seen some
Oh,
of her art. You've
she's
shown me, yes.
nuts.
Okay.
So about 2005, I was doing another project called Virtual Player,
Right.
which was a computer simulation thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was back home visiting my dad,
Right.
and I got a call from the architect of Burning Man
Yeah, and where's your dad?
in Scotland,
Oh, okay.
north of England actually, north of
Okay.
England.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy called me, Rod Garrett, and he called me. He said, "Look," he says, "I'm designing next year's Man.
Right.
It's very complicated. I need some computer 3D rendering of it to get up." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to help you. It's a
Right.
big honour."
Right.
So I kind of studied up in 3D,
Right.
and he said, well, "Could we change the rail, or can we change the this and that?" And I said, "Certainly." So I made some changes.
Right.
All of a sudden, it became obvious that we were working together on this
Right.
thing.
Right.
So Rod Garrett, he was my Obi-Wan, right?
Okay.
He was my
Uh-huh.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
And he passed away, unfortunately. He was an elderly man,
Right.
and he passed away in 2011.
Okay.
And from that point on, I've been
You're the
honoured by being given the position of design steward of the Man for Burning Man.
Wow, that's pretty
It
exciting.
is,
yeah.
for an artist, it's
Yes,
kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
'Cause
Absolutely.
For that week,
Yeah.
Burning Man is the centre of the art world for a week.
Right.
And of all that, the very centre of that whole thing is the Man.
Mm-hmm.
So for an artist, especially from the other side of the planet,
Right.
to find themselves designing this essentially American icon is pretty.
And where is this festival?
It's in Black Rock Desert in Nevada,
Okay.
which is the extreme northwest corner of Nevada. It's
Okay.
about 100 miles north of Reno.
Okay.
If
Oh, that's not that bad.
no,
When is the next round?
we've just gone through. The
Okay.
next one will be August, late August
Okay.
next year.
Next year.
Next
Okay.
year, yeah, and right before the week before Labor Day.
Okay.
But we're already working on next year's.
Really?
Yeah, of
On
course. It's like
next year's design.
it's like
Awesome.
painting the Bay Bridge. As soon as you've got to one
Great.
end, you start again. So
Right. Awesome. I was just, a lot of my friends were excited. They're like, really?
yeah.
The actual artist is going to be. I said, yeah, he's going to be there. So let me
Well,
see.
So going back to kids and
so
graffiti.
we have Alfie there. He wants to know, how do you get the paint companies to go along with it?
Yeah, hopefully voluntarily.
Hopefully, and that's what you're
So
fighting
so I'm gonna be going to DC to talk with the National Paint and Coatings Association.
Okay.
So they have a program called Paint Care.
Mm.
So if you go into Home Depot
Mhm.
and you buy a bunch of paint, you look on your bill and you'll see a thing called a paint care fee.
Right.
So for a quart it's like 35 cents, for a gallon it's like 75 cents.
Okay.
Over a gallon it's $1.50.
Right.
They took spray cans off that program
Mm.
because they said they weren't architectural finishes.
Wow.
We want to get it put on.
Right.
If they will, they'll put it on voluntarily and we'll all be happy.
Okay.
If they refuse, then we'll start working with legislatures. Because
yeah,
if
you
if
need to definitely.
yeah, if it were a BP or an oil company and they had a spill and messed up the beaches,
Mm.
they'd have to clean it up, right?
Right, and that has a cost, huge cost.
Yeah, but
Somebody gotta pay for
they're
it.
responsible for it. And we're not saying
Right.
the paint companies started the war, but they certainly provided the bombs and bullets.
Right.
And it's
right.
costing $20 billion a year. Let me go, Olive. $20 billion is a crazy number, right?
It sure is.
I had to figure it out.
Mhm.
So if you take $100 bill,
Mhm.
Franklin, $100 bill, $200, $300, $400, $1,000, $10,000, $100 bills. $1 million is a stack of $100 bills about 43 inches.
You know what? You showed a clip.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's one of those scary parts.
Mm-hmm.
So $1 million is 43 inches.
Mm-hmm.
$20 billion is a stack of $100 bills,
Mm-hmm.
73,000 feet tall. that's twice as high as Mount Everest. Yeah. And we spend it every year. Like that. And apparently, we haven't got enough money to put art into schools.
And we're always, California especially, always in deficit.
And these kids who are trying to self-express, we need to give them room to do that.
So now, from the community, I know what you're doing is pretty awesome. I've been, I know you for about 2 years now. So he has, most of it you do it on your own time. Most of it, you know, you're mentoring.
Yeah.
I mean, to mentor these children that are already, like you said, they're seeking attention, or they're trying to find their identity. Working with these children or these teenagers is not an easy job. So what are you, how can the community help you?
If you're a parent, talk to your kids. If you're a parent, just keep talking to your kids. A little understanding goes a long way. And these kids, they tend to come from homes, I mean, not all of them. We work with kids who are from Orinda, who live in mansions, who tend to come to Oakland to do their thing. But they tend to be those kids who are a little bit lost, who are having that identity crisis, struggling. It tends to be mostly guys. We do work with some females, some girls, and some astonishing artists. But work with the schools. Try and get art put back into schools, because that's where they should be doing the self-expression. They should be doing it with their peer group, which are their classmates. And work with the communities. If you own a business, approach us or another local community art group and offer a wall. A good way to, first of all, allow street art to flourish, and also to stop graffiti, is to offer a wall up. There are some unwritten rules amongst the graffiti community about tagging on top of an existing mural. And it's much nicer to have a mural than it is to have a wall of tags.
It's beautiful. I mean, some of the murals are gorgeous. I actually would probably, I would like to have it on the side of an office or inside.
We just talked to a very large property owner here in Oakland, and had a walk through of maybe half a dozen properties that they own, that group owns. And they were like, whichever wall you guys want. And it was like, oh
nice.
Yeah.
Now they give you an idea on what to draw, or is it something you decide depending on the area?
So the best conversations are the briefest conversations. The best conversations go like this: we love what you're doing. Here's a wall, and that's it, right? We don't. When it gets weird is when they go, we'd like this, and we'd like some trees over there, and they suck all the juice out of it. Right? There's no creativity left.
I can imagine.
But we always present a rendering of what's going to happen before it happens. And that. So let me backtrack a teeny little bit. Let me describe a project.
Sure.
So we get our kids usually through juvenile justice. They've already been busted. They've already been in front of a judge. And instead of going to juvenile hall, they're getting a fine that they're never going to pay. They're introduced to us, usually 6 or 8 at a time. Gets more than 8, it's a little unwieldy. So say a project lasts a week. Sometimes they're a little longer, usually about a week. So first day is try and get to know each other, because there can be kids who not just don't know each other, but are actively. So we usually go to a museum. These kids have never been to a museum, often. And the MoMA, a fabulous Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco, the director flings the doors open for us. And he actually greets them on the steps of the MoMA and invites them in as VIPs.
Great.
Right?
What a good experience.
Right, and they're given a pass for the year. Within 5 minutes, never fails, Olive. Oh shit, I could do this, right?
Suddenly their eye open.
Right, I could do that.
Oh wow.
Well, yes, you could.
Nice.
Okay, let's start talking about that. Let me introduce you to Diego Rivera. He was another Mexican artist who was a pain in the ass to everybody and got his stuff painted out, right? And all you can see the light bulb come on. If Jasper John or Jackson Pollock or David Hockney, if they'd have relegated their art
Right.
to a wall in an alleyway
Right.
that was going to get painted out and eroded, we'd never have heard of these guys.
Right.
If Rembrandt had done this,
Right.
or Titian, or Van Gogh, or
Right. Right.
we would never have heard of them.
Right.
And what we do, day one, is say there's a history of art that started with people in Lascaux making art on cave walls,
Right.
went through classical and Roman, through medieval, through Renaissance, through,
Right.
and you're the last chapter in the book that's still being written. Now, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to
Nice.
are you going to relegate
Suddenly
it to
I have this urge that I want to spray paint.
right? But
I
you
just
can do
wanna
it. You can do it in an alleyway,
Right.
or day two,
Okay.
we take them to the studio and we say, this is 12-ounce unbleached cotton duck, and this is a set of stretcher bars. So you've got to stretch a canvas.
Right.
And I show them how to stretch a canvas. I do the first one, and then they stretch their own canvases and
Nice.
prepare their canvases. Okay, what are we going to put? This never
So you
fails.
have them do it from scratch.
From wood and canvas and nails.
Oh, okay.
And they gesso their own canvas, prepare it for paint. And then they go, what are we going to paint? And I go, I don't...
You're the artist.
This is your space.
Nice.
You can do it in an undiluted way. You don't have to do it cryptically. You don't have to do it in after dark, upside down, hanging from a tree.
Right.
You can do it right
Whatever
here.
you want.
Whatever you want. Not only that, you can take this thing and you can take it somewhere else, like a gallery, and you can say, this is my art, would you please put it in your gallery for sale? And they go, yes, I would love to do that.
Oh,
And
how nice is
and
that?
they get all the money. We don't take any cash. If their
Nice.
works sell, or if they want to give it to Granny, that's cool too, right? But
So how many kids do you have at a time in your...
about 6 or 8.
6 or 8.
We've
Are
done
you- are
we've
you
done
planning
10,
on
and it feels. So I can only do so much. I don't take any money from Big Picture.
Right.
I do it. I do it because I feel like something that needs to be done. It does need to be done. I was lucky. I had certain people in my life, mentors like Rod Garrett. We were just talking about Rod Garrett, and my old
Another
painting.
Silicon Valley.
And my old painting master, when I was a young kid, I was an apprentice to a great master called Bill Holgate, who was an elderly man, and I think about him thinking about you now, Bill. And I had wonderful people in my life who I looked up to and showed me a path.
Right.
We have to do that for the next generation.
Of
We
course.
can't just kind of shove them to one side. And this is not a problem that we can arrest our way out of. It's, I don't want to say we've made this problem, but
Right.
we've made this problem.
Right. Yeah, we
We've
did.
ta-
We definitely
we've taken
did, yes.
That, remember, that DNA is still in us.
Right.
And if you don't give it a positive path, it'll take a negative out.
Yeah,
It will.
absolutely. And I do have to say, and to our viewers, if you have your own kids, nieces, nephews, kids in school, send them Andrew's way. Maybe you have a waiting list. I don't know.
Yeah.
But one of the main, Andrew, one of the main points here is that if you do it the right way and you have a talent, you could actually, get famous off of it. You could sell your art. You could, there are other ways. But just going around and tagging other people's mirrors, they actually put a lot of time in it, and they made it look very beautiful and nice. It's just not a right thing to do. And plus it makes the city look ugly and dirty. And then I know Auckland is one of the cities, and Sydney in Australia, and Tokyo in Japan. Those are some of the cities that if you're a graffiti artist, it just, to tag yourself in these cities, it's just like oh wow, that person or that art made it to this location. So it's a big thing. So I know the reason a lot of them come to Auckland. And sometimes I've seen it, they're in Oakland, but they tag themselves from San Francisco, like showing that, we're doing tagging in San Francisco. But anyways, regardless, the point is tagging and graffiti. There's good graffiti, right places, right areas. And maybe, I have Andrew's name on this page. You could tag on it and then inbox him questions.
Sure.
And maybe if you could help him, maybe the program you have, it's an absolutely wonderful program. And maybe through the community, you could actually expand it and make it bigger.
Yeah.
Is that something
well,
you're thinking about?
at some point I'm only one guy,
Mhm.
right? But ultimately, we want to have it like, you know, fried chicken,
Right.
right? Where it's in every town.
Right. Right.
And what we'd like to do is develop a program until we can kind of cookie cutter it. And we can say, do this day one, do this day two, this is how you blah, 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 this is how you get your... And come up with a formula,
Right.
and then invite people to Oakland to the studio and teach the teachers,
Right.
who then take what they learn back to their own communities and grow it from the roots there.
Well, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that if the money's there,
Yeah.
if the money is there, then you could definitely, you could expand it. But we're almost done with the show. Thank you so much for watching the show.
One thing?
Before you forget,
Oh.
I just hopefully you're watching the YouTube channel as well. If you're not, watch it later. As soon as we're done with the show, we're gonna actually have Andrew's clip attached to the show, so you get to watch the interview he had with PBS.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
And you can find out what we're doing if you go to bigpicturearts.com.
There you go.
Easy.
And also, if you're looking for somebody to do mural on your wall, he's an amazing mural artist. You could definitely contact him, and I've seen his work. It's amazing. But thank you so much. This was Tea Time with
I didn't even drink my
Art.
tea.
You did it. Whiskey. We'll have a
Whiskey.
whiskey. Thank you.